Hello, I am Farzana Mim, and once again I'm here with the story of a movie just like before. So, let's get started.
9. A man named Adams Hunter was seen boarding a bus to go to the nearest mental hospital in his city. He did it because he wanted to restore his soul after several attempts to end his life. Because he felt useless in his world when he got there. He was immediately taken to his room. In that room, he was not alone. There's another patient named Rudy. When he was about to greet Rudy, suddenly Rudy screamed hysterically because he was hallucinating that a squirrel was going to attack him. A frightened Adams immediately called for help, but it just made him feel sad because he saw how the officers behaved very inhumanely when dealing with Rudy. The sadness he experienced again when he was consulting with a psychiatrist, as long as he expressed his disquiet, but the psychiatrist didn't seem to care about him. Even the psychiatrist didn't look at him. One day, he decides to meet a patient named Arthur. He is a wealthy scientist who is considered crazy because his genius cannot be accepted by ordinary human reason. At first, he underestimated the arrival of Adams, but when Adams added to his leaky glass, he suddenly realized that he had been so focused on the complicated things and had never cared about the simple things in front of him. He immediately gave him the nickname Patch, which means patch. He believes Patch will be able to patch up the problems faced by the people around him. That night, Adams couldn't sleep because Rudy was going to the toilet, but he was afraid of being attacked by his hallucinatory squirrel. Hearing this, he spontaneously acted like a hunter to invite Rudy to shoot the squirrels until they disappeared. Recourse? The bathroom. Where'd you go? Rudy is very happy and now he can go to the bathroom in peace. From then on, Adams realized that his life turned out to be useful. The next morning, he immediately decided to get out of the mental hospital. He declared that he would be a better doctor than the doctors there who treated patients inhumanely. Since then, he changed his name to Patch Adams. 2 years have passed. In his old age, he decided to attend medical school at Virginia Medical University on his first day of college. He is attracted to a girl named Karen. Without thinking, after the lecture was over, he immediately approached Karen. But Karen immediately rejected it, saying that she wanted to focus on studying. Turns out there was a man who accidentally saw us. He is Truman. Truman said he had experienced the same thing, rejected on classic grounds, knowing that they were in the same boat. Adams asked Truman to hang out. He told all his experiences so far and his crazy ideas to become a doctor to his specifications. He didn't expect Truman to be interested in his ideas. One day, the students took a practical exam at the hospital. Their lecturer explained about a patient's illness. This made the patient feel uncomfortable and afraid of the student's questions about her illness. But suddenly Adams asked what the patient's name was, and he greets the patient. It turns out that simple things like that can make the patient smile. After that, he quietly walked out of his entourage and he visits a pediatric cancer patient who looks gloomy. Without thinking, he immediately entertained them by becoming a clown with the tools around him. Instantly, the children became so cheerful and happy that they forgot the pain. He came out happy. However, his actions were discovered by his dean. In the morning, he turned to his dean named Walcott. He received a warning because it turned out that only students who had entered the third year were allowed to make direct contact with patients. He tried to oppose this, but Walcott firmly told him to obey because he thinks he will print a doctor. He said that he was smarter than Adams. A few days later, he got a group assignment which turned out to be Truman and Karen. When Karen was serious about studying, he invited her to talk about the medical system on campus, which she thought was not quite right. This made Karen uncomfortable and decided to get out of there. He felt very guilty about it. He was trying to persuade her, but she was already fed up and she couldn't understand how Adams could become a doctor if he only talked about unimportant things while studying. Days passed. Every day he always returned to the hospital to comfort the children regardless of Wall's warnings. Thanks to his presence, the children became happy. Their parents, even the nurses, were very happy to have him there. Semester 1 has ended. Each student's grades have been announced. Karen seemed dissatisfied with her grades. She was very surprised to know that Adam's score was almost perfect. She didn't expect that the person she thought she knew nothing would turn out to be such a smart person, and from then on she began to approach Adams, and she is willing to help him. In the evening, Adams invites Karen and Truman to comfort one of the patients at the hospital, by surprise pretending to be an animal. And the patient is the hunter. The patient was very happy because he felt his dream had come true. Adams spontaneously asked the patient next to him named Kennedy. It turns out that since childhood she has always played her mother Saddam T. And since childhood she always dreamed of being able to swim in Saddam's pool. When he returned from there, Karen expressed her admiration for Adams. On that occasion, Adams tried to confess his love. However, Karen did not answer him. She left Adams with her sweet smile. The next day, he tried to comfort a patient named Bill who was notoriously temperamental. Confidently, she sang a song for Bill. But Bill instead cursed him and always talked about death. Frightened, Adams immediately rushed out of there to comfort the other patients. On this occasion, the patient and even the patient's parents were comforted, but there suddenly the dean came, and Adams came right out. Wall scolded him for breaking the rules. Wall says patients don't need entertainment, but they need doctors. Adams replied that he came to visit patients in his spare time as a visitor, not as a student, but Wall refused, because Adams had to study because his friend Adams reported that he had been cheating on the exam. Without thinking, he met the person he suspected, that is his roommate. He had reported Adams without evidence. He felt disapproved because he was very diligent in studying, and had even received several awards outside, and he is also the son and grandson of a famous doctor, but his grades were always below that of Adams. He considered very unacademic thinking. He couldn't stop thinking about his roommates, but he didn't want to waste time on such an insignificant matter. He left right away. He returned to the hospital without caring if he was scolded by his dean. He came back to Bill in an angel costume and recited poems about death. This managed to keep Bill entertained, and he was the only doctor who managed to get Bill to talk. As the days passed, Wall announced that their campus would host a seminar for America's top obstetricians. According to tradition, every year, he will appoint one of the most outstanding students to welcome the doctors, and the chosen one is Adams. Several days had passed, and the day of the seminar had arrived. With pride, Wall showed off that he had prepared their campus hall as well as possible. But when he got there, he didn't expect that Adams had made a giant foot that depicted a woman who was giving birth. He was furious and again ordered Adams to face him. He was furious, and he had decided to expel Adams from his college. Adams couldn't do anything, but the chancellor helped him. After he got reports from patients who felt very helped by Adams, and they feel that their quality of life is improving, Adams got permission to continue his studies. He was not allowed to go to the hospital again as a punishment until the lecture was over. In the evening, Karen came to Adams' dormitory. There she got a birthday surprise from Adams and her friends. Adams read her a romantic poem. However, he couldn't finish it, and he promised to read the rest at the right time. After that, they talked. Karen said that she had never met a man as good as Adams. Suddenly, she kissed Adams. It was the most beautiful night of Adams' life. In the middle of the night, Adams came to the hospital to meet Bill, who called him. Bill, who was not strong with all the pain, he begged Adams to sing the song that Adams used to sing when he first met him. Nothing but blue skies. See, saw. Nothing but blue. Holding back his tears, Adams sang, and at the same time Bill breathed his last. After Bill's death, he invited Truman to hang out to ease his grief, but in that place, he heard complaints from people there who were dissatisfied with the service from the hospital, and the doctor who they think is very complicated. Hearing this, he suddenly had an idea. Then he left them. At that time, he met Karen to share his dream. That is, he wants to establish a hospital that is uncomplicated and friendly to all walks of life. 2 years had passed. He took Karen to a hill. He said confidently that one day that beautiful place would become the hospital of his dreams. After that, he took Karen to a small hut not far from there. Truman was waiting for them in the cabin. The cottage was a gift from Arthur, his friend at the mental hospital, which he will use as his clinic. Clinic without complicated procedures, full of entertainment and free. They are assisted by former patients in the mental hospital first. They renovated the cottage with great joy. At night, Karen revealed the contents of her heart that she had been holding back all this time. She couldn't help but find out that she had fallen in love with Adams, and she is willing to accompany him forever. If death had to separate them, then she would be a butterfly who would accompany Adams in times of trouble, like her dream as a child who wanted to be a butterfly. Adams was very moved to hear that, and they hugged. I've loved you for so. In the morning, Karen woke up and found Adams sitting on her bed. He recited his poetry, which he had not finished reading before, but before he could finish reading, suddenly Truman came in to report the supplies at their clinic had run out. Without thinking, he immediately went with Truman to look for all the shortcomings of their clinic needs. It was getting late, but they hadn't come home yet. Karen, who was at the clinic, received a call from a patient named Larry, who had previously been treated there. He asked someone to help him come to his house. He just wanted someone to listen to him. Karen goes to meet him. Arriving there, she was greeted well by Larry, even though Larry's behavior looked a little suspicious. In the morning, Adams was summoned to appear before his chancellor, but apparently he wasn't called for that. He was told that his lover, Karen, found shot dead by a man named Larry. After that, Larry committed suicide. Hearing this, his body immediately went limp. He couldn't say anything. Karen's funeral day arrived, but he only dared to look from a distance. After everyone left, he approached Karen's chest there. He read the last snippet of his poem, which he had never finished reading. Finally, he couldn't hold back his tears anymore. He rushed to pack his things from his clinic. He tried to stop because he was sure that Karen died because of him. Truman tried to persuade him, but his efforts were in vain. Not only in the clinic, he also decided to drop out of college. Suddenly, his roommate restrained him. He apologized for his mistakes all this time. He realized that what Adams had done so far in treating patients was a very appropriate effort. He asked Adams for help to be willing to help his patient named Kennedy who did not want to eat, but he doesn't care. He just left him. He came to the hill, near his clinic. He felt his life was in vain. Then he decided to commit suicide in that place. But when he was about to jump, suddenly, He gave up his intention because he was sure that Karen would always be by his side. After that, he returned to the hospital to help Kennedy. He realized Kennedy's childhood dream was swimming in a spaghetti pool. Kennedy seemed very happy, and she will never forget this most beautiful moment of her life. What do you think? Yes, However, unexpectedly, suddenly trouble came to him. He gets a letter saying that he has been expelled from college because he felt disapproved, so he immediately met Wall, who did not want to respond because everything is written in the letter. The main reason was because Adams opened the clinic without a permit. Wall said it made a lot of people, including patients, feel uncomfortable. Adam is furious with Wall's argument. He intends to appeal to the board of doctors. Several days had passed, and finally the open trial for betting on Adams' fate had begun. He was asked why he founded the clinic. He confidently replied that the medical methods at his college were inhumane because it only emphasizes on the patient's disease and not on the patient. The patients who come to his clinic also become doctors because they care for each other and support each other. That is the real doctor's function. Death will be unavoidable. So as a doctor, what should be done is not only delaying death, but also improving the patient's quality of life. He said he wasn't afraid of being kicked out of college, and he wasn't afraid that he wouldn't be able to wear a white coat, but he will still be a doctor forever, for all patients who need the means. For a moment, the council fell silent. They asked for time to discuss. However, when they were about to leave, suddenly, not long after, the board of doctors entered the room again. The board of doctors declared that the Adams Clinic had not violated the law. They were grateful that he had helped so many people. They also praised his method. In closing, they told Wall that he had to learn more about medicine from Adams. Instantly, everyone immediately gave a round of applause to Adams. He never expected that so many people had supported his method all this time. Several months later, he finally graduated from college. From that day on, he was officially declared a doctor. He is ready to serve more patients with all his art.